God's wisdom can be applied to our lives with reverence, faith, and trust. Acquiring God's wisdom entails having respect, comprehension, and faith. Together, let's investigate those steps. 4 steps. 1. We must reverence God's ways. 2. We must read and understand His Word. 3. We must ask for the wisdom of God. 4. We must learn to trust Him completely. What if you're not seeing the perfect situation that God is arranging in your life? Because the situation is erratic and seems intolerable, are you unable to recognize His wisdom even though it is the ideal way for Him to carry out His ideal plan in you? Consider God's plans as a tapestry with a beautiful finished picture on the front and a tangled, disorganized back. The only side that is visible to us is the potential for doubt and uncertainty. How would our lives appear if we had faith in the idea that God was intricately crafting a magnificent masterpiece with His silver thread, interconnecting all the fragments of our lives and circumstances to construct a narrative that bestows blessings upon us while honoring Him? Living with such faith necessitates placing trust in God's flawless wisdom. How can we showcase this type of faith? How can we lead our lives wisely? Turning to the biblical account of Joseph, a towering figure can provide us with valuable lessons on wisdom. In the book of Genesis, Joseph's life unfolds. He was a young brother who faced resentment from his siblings and was ultimately sold into slavery. Joseph encountered numerous unfavorable and intricate situations which might have seemed unjust for a faithful man. However, when you examine the fabric more closely, you'll see that God had an incredible plan all along. He intricately wove this man into a position of honor. He became the second most powerful figure in the known world. With his influence and authority, Joseph not only saved himself, but also his family and his people. In God's wisdom, his plans far exceeded anyone's imagination. We can truly place our trust in this wisdom. The wisdom of God is beyond our comprehension. Consider a classical definition of wisdom from the German theologian Berkhoff, which states that it produces the best possible results through the best possible means. Let's apply this to a hypothetical scenario, one you may have encountered before. Imagine a situation where a railroad engineer faced an impossible decision. The engineer's young child had been playing near his booth, unaware that he was getting closer to the tracks. Suddenly, they both realized he was stuck, with his leg wedged and unable to move. At the same time, a train filled with passengers was hurtling down the tracks, heading directly for the child. The father had the power to stop the train and save his child, but there wasn't enough time to do both. If he halted the train to rescue his child, the passengers would undoubtedly lose their lives. On the other hand, if he chose to save the passengers, his child would certainly perish. What's the right decision? If we apply the conventional definition, which suggests that the wise choice is whatever benefits the most people for the longest time, then it's clear that saving the passengers is the logical choice. However, what if that child was destined to become an incredible evangelist who would lead millions to Jesus? Now we're talking about saving a vast number of souls. But hold on, what if someone on that train was going to discover a cure for AIDS? In the long run, she would save even more lives. So wouldn't the wisest decision be to save her? What's the correct answer? Clearly, no human is equipped to make such a decision. Only God, in His perfect wisdom, knowing the beginning and the end and everything in between, can make the right choice. So how do we proceed? Likewise, when we confront mysteries beyond our comprehension, we must acknowledge that we do not have the full picture. We can have faith that God, in His infinite wisdom, has a beautiful masterpiece in mind, despite the limited view we have from earth. We only see the messy underside of the tapestry and may shake our heads at life's difficulties. God is a benevolent God who orchestrates all things according to His will. He understands the consequences. His decisions, commands, and will are guided by wisdom. This means that He brings about the best possible outcomes through the best possible means for the greatest number of people, for the longest period. Tozer summarizes this by saying, "All God's acts are done in perfect wisdom, first for his own glory, and then for the highest good of the greatest number, for the longest time, and all his acts are as pure as they are wise." Not only could God's acts not be done better, but a better way to do them could not be imagined. How can we access this wisdom? After all, James states that we can attain wisdom if we seek it, and the absence of wisdom simply reveals that we haven't asked for it. How can we learn to live wisely? 4 clear steps to applying the wisdom of God to our lives. 1. We must reverence God's ways. Remember when you were a child and you wouldn't refuse a foolish dare or an unsafe act because you believed your parents would kill you. Of course, they weren't going to actually harm you, but it was a casual yet firm way of conveying that obedience in that situation was not open to negotiation. We held our parents in awe. Revering God means desiring to live life according to God's principles. You show respect for God's principles when you're apprehensive about the repercussions and how it might affect your relationship with your Heavenly Father. You comprehend and care about what your way communicates to Him in light of all that He has done for you. It's a healthy reverence for God. 2. We must read and understand His Word. To lead a life of wisdom, we must acquaint ourselves with the manual. Comprehending the Word goes beyond just skimming through the Scriptures. I'm talking about immersing ourselves in the Word, absorbing its promises into our hearts, and seeking God's grace to live them out through a life transformed by His teachings. It's not merely about having the right knowledge, it's about putting that knowledge into action. Mere knowledge of the Bible has never led to personal transformation. It's the application of our biblical understanding that truly brings about profound change. Understanding the Bible is not enough. We must apply its teachings to experience true transformation. 3. We must ask for the wisdom of God. If any of you lacks wisdom, don't hesitate to ask God. He is generous and doesn't scold you for asking. He will give you wisdom. If any of you lacks wisdom, don't hesitate to ask God. He is generous and doesn't scold you for asking. He will give you wisdom. God encourages us to seek His wisdom. All we need to do is ask. Whether you're facing a challenging decision, an uncertain project, a wayward child, or complex financial issues, God promises to provide wisdom abundantly. God assures that if you pray without doubting, He will guide your path. The surprising nature of doubt is something you don't want to miss. Keep watching. 4. We must learn to trust Him completely. Having faith without doubt implies a sincere commitment to follow God's wisdom with determination. If you believe without hesitation and are prepared to act, God will guide you. His guidance might come through a book, a person, a counselor, a pastor, a series of unrelated individuals all giving you the same advice, or a compelling inner intuition. We can find solace in God's wisdom, trusting that everything that unfolds in our lives is orchestrated by a benevolent and caring God. He possesses comprehensive knowledge of all actual and potential scenarios and utilizes His boundless power to achieve the best possible results through the most suitable means, all in accordance with the loftiest purposes. Thank you for joining us on this journey of enlightenment and wisdom. If you found value in our content, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an opportunity to expand your knowledge. Together, let's continue seeking wisdom, finding purpose, and embracing the path to a more enlightened life. Remember, wisdom is the key to a life well lived, and here at Ultimate Wisdom, we're committed to bringing you insights from various philosophies and cultures to help you on your quest for a more meaningful and purposeful existence. Stay tuned for more thought-provoking content, and until next time, keep seeking videos on Ultimate Wisdom.